Welcome to news for Tuesday, May 20th, 2014. I am Jimmy Prince with the details. Vendors at the Kingstown Fish Market were up in arms today as they voiced their concern over the lack of ice at the market. They say this is hampering sales and causing spoilage. However, Dunstan Johnson, manager of the National Fisheries Marketing Limited, says the vendors are being impatient and are blowing the situation out of proportion. Vanika tells us more in this report.
I buy a box of fish, no ice. Let me show you where me have to put the fish. Look how me have to put the fish. Because no ice when you come to over 3 weeks now you can't get ice.
The lack of ice, coupled with no communication from higher authorities on the state of the ice machines housed at the Kingstown Fish Market.
And don't carry try to see the manager here coming around to say, well, vendors, the machine break down and you cannot get no ice now, nothing at all.
Have agitated vendors at the Kingstown Fish Market enough to seek the assistance of SVG-TV News in airing their concerns about conditions at the market which they say are hindering the sale of their fish and fish products. When SVG-TV News arrived on scene, the colloquial fish market atmosphere was in play as vendors voiced their anger at the situation.
My problem is with the fish market. I am a vendor for over 20-something years, and it's the worst I ever see this fish market is now. Yesterday there was no ice, so icy fish is pure water, the ice machine dropping. This morning we come here. Some people get 1 box of ice, some get none, and some get some blockage of ice. I see the situation, Lovin, is getting out of hand. It's very unfair to the vendors. They are not vendors with at all. I live in Barely. When I come this morning on my fish, when I come to get ice, there was no ice when I don't put for the salt. Right now, if you're going to meet my cow, I just get a little bit, about a 3/4 box. And I have 2 boxes of fishes. Right now, the fishes are the big concrete.
Everybody feel the same thing. We can't buy fish, fishermen can't go out and fish how they're supposed to because they have ice to store them.
I know the reason why you are coming because you are here about the ice. But really remember things break down and they get it fixed after a while. Right? But we have the trouble with the machine, but it will be fixed in a while.
Some of the persons we spoke to suggested that the market be closed until the situation is resolved.
Did anybody come and tell you that the machine was down, or did you just assume that it was down?
Well, the way of things going that we know the machine down. But they walk around and tell vendor we not the machine down. But just the way how the ice operating, we know the machine.
3 weeks I can't get to go and see. Because in the back there I ice up the fish when we catch them and we come from the sea and catch them and put them in the bag. And all the fish is spoiling around me. Look at the conch, no ice. It's a boat that we give them ice 2 days ago.
When the captain come in after 8 years, before he get ice for ice fish. Can't no ice in there. If they can't run and they close on the barber shop. If they can't get ice, that means customers can't get fresh fish.
Manager of the Kingstown Fish Market, Dunstan Johnson, however, explained to SVG-TV News that the ice machine was down due to a missing part that had to be sourced internationally.
At this point in time, what has happened for the past 7 days, if you exclude the weekend, will just be about 5 days, that we are having a situation where one of our ice machines is down, simply because one of the parts has perished. It's what it referred to as a coupling. Now, these ice machines were made out of Japan, and they are at a point in time where we do believe, after 9 going into 10 years, that they are at the end of their useful life.
Johnson said they took the decision to ration the crushed ice and supplementary block ice were given to the vendors.
It's not a situation where the market cannot supply the ice. It's only one machine that is dropping the ice. So the amount that is given to each vendor is almost cut in half. But we are supplementing that with additional ice that we purchase from out of Calico from Calfico.
Have you had a meeting with the vendors since the machine and told them that this is the problem?
We did not have a formal meeting. It's an informal setting in the way things sometimes is done. So it's not a case where you have to call them and say, look, we're having this issue. We meet them on one-on-one.
The vendors told SVG-TV News that the ice problem has been around for almost 3 weeks now, contrary to the 1-week time frame given by the manager. They say the problem needed to be fixed soonest. For SVG-TV News, I am Zulika Lewis.
A project which will provide the OECS, including St. Vincent and the Grenadines, with financial resources to support adaptation to the effects of climate change was launched here yesterday. The Global Climate Change Alliance project on climate change adaptation and sustainable land management in the Eastern Caribbean is being funded by the European Union. The project is also aimed at promoting disaster risk reduction and integrating climate change into poverty reduction efforts. Speaking at the launch, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Louis Deschamps, says the project is designed to improve natural resource-based resilience to impacts of climate change in the region.
Specifically, St. Vincent and the Grenadines in our context. This will be done, ladies and gentlemen, by ensuring that we have an effective and sustainable land management policy, capacity, awareness and practices. It will also implement specific climate change adaptation measures that may include land, riverbank and coastline stabilization, ecosystem restoration and rehabilitation, water conservation and drought mitigation, and also flood mitigation interventions.
He said that it will also take note of the outcomes of the regional framework for achieving development resilience to climate change, which was approved by the CARICOM heads of government in July 2009.
And which defined a strategic approach for coping with climate change. Ladies and gentlemen, this project is expected also to enhance the resilience of its member states to the impacts of global climate change by enhancing the scope, efficiency and effectiveness of planning mechanisms for land use, zoning and allocation based on a vision for the sustainable management of its limited land resources. And in order to achieve this, ladies and gentlemen, it is proposed that it will be implemented to support adaptive change in land management to achieve resilience in coastal development and agriculture.
Meanwhile, project team leader Chamberlain Emmanuel says it is important that the country identify what priority areas need to be addressed under the project, and that this is why they thought it necessary to establish national committees.
This is the point I want to emphasize this morning. We look forward to working with you in our meeting, which would begin immediately after this launch. We are hoping to give a more detailed overview and understanding of the project and begin to dialogue on some of the quick wins that are available immediately in the first phase of the project, and to discuss also moving forward the overall benefits and activities on the project.
The rehabilitation work is said to be progressing well 5 months since the Christmas Eve 2013 freak storm. But while Prime Minister Dr. Gonsalves said he is pleased with the manner in which the rehabilitation work is progressing, he is encouraging those in charge to speed up the work.
I put a significant amount of money in the estimates. I have the money for the housing program, and I asked the minister this morning for us to accelerate some of the works.
According to the Prime Minister, work had to be done on renovating and constructing 80 houses. He said that the opening ceremonies were expected to begin towards the end of this month into the middle of June.
At Fitzhugh's, originally we started with 7 houses. 6 of them are completed. Final one is 85% complete, and then 5 others in Fitzhugh's are being built, and as of the middle of last week, when I got this report, they were 25% complete. At Chamberlain, 8 were being built and they were basically finished. 7 more houses are to be built. 5 have been started, about 15–20% complete, and 2 were not started up to the middle of last week. At home, Penniston, 3 were being built. They're about 15–20% completed. At Clare Valley, 2 houses are being built. 1 is about 20% completed, 1 is about 50%.
There was widespread damage done on the leeward and windward side of St. Vincent. At yesterday's media conference, the Prime Minister used the opportunity to give an update on the progress made in those affected areas.
At South Rivers, 8 houses are being built there. They're three-quarter complete. The windows and the doors are being installed. I suspect sometime before the end of this week or next week they should be finished. At Langley Park, 6 of them have been built. They're practically completed and the painting is to be done. At Orange Hill, 1 was built there and almost completed, the painting to be done. 1 at Sandy Bay, that's completed. 2 properties at Fancy, they are completed. There are 2 at Ovia, 1 in new construction and 1 renovation. The new construction is almost finished and so to the renovation. At Overland, there are 2 of them, both renovations. They're about 40–50% complete.
The implementation phase has commenced here for a project which seeks to promote climate resilience for small farm vegetable production among vulnerable rural groups. The project is being coordinated by the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, IICA, and the Pan-American Development Foundation. It was developed as a response to the Christmas Eve disaster of 2013. It aims to support the rehabilitation efforts in the agriculture sector as well as the revival of income streams among vulnerable farmers. 43 farmers have since received agricultural inputs from the project. The farmers are expected to work closely with the Ministry of Agriculture's Extension Services to participate in all on-farm and in-classroom training events to ensure that they adopt approaches to farming for sustainability of their operations. The project is expected to continue for the next 4 months and is expected to assist 55 farm families. Some news on the mosquito-borne disease now, where the majority of confirmed cases of the chikungunya disease in the Grenadine island of Bekwai. The residents there, some of whom are now recovering from the disease, have much to say about the mosquito situation on the island. Earlier today, SVG-TV News visited the island and spoke with some residents on the situation.
The situation which is not very good for the island. First of all, the image internationally, our visitors, our tourists. Secondly, the hazard created health-wise. You know, if you have garbage everywhere, what do you expect? You know, there should be a regular garbage cleaning service. You know, whatever health officers or appointed personnel should take care of our public areas for sure. In addition, everyone should look after his or her own home. People should be alerted to take care of what they throw away and waste. You know, then of course latrines, toilets, garbage bins should have lids and so on. Yes, the garbage is the main problem, and we believe the mosquito breeding situation originates in the garbage situation. Okay. Yeah.
The 34 years you've been living here plus, is it this year, would you say it's the worst mosquito situation you've seen?
Yes, this is the worst mosquito situation I've seen, because in my house I see some mosquito real big, and like when them land on top you and like you kill one and tap a sheet, it's real blood, you know, and I think after a while it gives you a real funny feelings in your body. But to see, as a guy like this, I take a lot of a bush, I use bush.
Have you been personally affected, and what's your thoughts on the situation?
No, I haven't. I've not been affected.
Okay, what's your thoughts on the situation though?
Well, as far as I've seen, they should either come regular and spray the infected places. Not even the infected places around the whole Bekwai.
Well, I had the chikungunya, and my son and the household. It first started with the joints problem. You wake up and you start feeling pains in your joints, in your hands, in your knees, especially in the knees. A lot of people were crying out, went to the casualty. They gave you a cold shower. People that went quick enough to get tended to. By the next day, my son was okay with the rash, and I had to go to the salt water because there was no cure for this chikungunya. It's terrible. It puts people down. It's headache. It's name it.
I was affected for sure. Just a couple of days ago, I was sitting right here. I feel when the mosquito bite me, but I didn't really see the mosquito. But I shot off the mosquito, you know. But when I get home, I eat dinner, and I was heading to the shower. When I take up my towel, I start feeling pain behind here, you know. Then I start feeling pain in my wrist, you know, elbow, all over. Then I start getting headache, chest, belly, all over, every place just pain. But I stayed home for a while, and then I decided I can't take the pain anymore, so I went to the doctor. And the doctor gave me some pills and so on, but at the end of the day I saw it gone.
It's getting out of order, and we need to do something. We need a clean-up campaign in Beckwith here. The health department need to go around and check on the homes in Beckwith and see that the surroundings is nice and clean to avoid this kind of breeding of mosquitoes. A lot of people in Beckwith did not appreciate the fogging, but you got to sacrifice one for the next, because the fogging will kill the bees and the Jack Spaniels, which pollinate the trees to get fruit. And that question was asked in the meeting about the fogging, and they said it's not detrimental to human life.
The last report from the Ministry of Health about 2 weeks ago indicated that there were 39 confirmed cases of the chikungunya virus in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, 37 on Beckwith and 2 on mainland St. Vincent. The fast ferry is expected to resume service here soon. The announcement was made by Prime Minister Dr. Gonsalves at Monday's media conference. Earlier this year, it was announced that the government will be granting a $100,000 US loan through Petrocarib to the owners of the vessel to replace a damaged engine. Duty-free concession was also given on the engine and fuel, and an offer, the Prime Minister said, which was made to all ferry operators in the country.
I've spoken to Elvis Goodin. He's very pleased to report. He reported to me this morning that the engine is inside of the fast ferry. They're doing some tests, and they should start operating the latest on the 1st of June. I think that is a Sunday.
Dr. Gonsalves said the government felt the need to provide the assistance given the importance of the fast ferry to citizens, especially those in the Grenadines.
Notice, you read the newspapers where the newspapers said that how down in Canawan, down in Union Island, the Easter Val was not as well attended. And one of the reasons people posited, everybody is saying, the newspapers, all the commentators, everybody is saying is because the fast ferry was not in operation. It is so clear that just like the international airport is vital, and that Liat is vital, so to the fast ferry. Government doesn't want to run a ferry, but Elvis Goodin, who is a good man in the area of sea transport, has an investment, had difficulties, and the government steps in.
Another book has been added to the National Library of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The literary compilation of Island Voices by Vincentian-born author Dr. Phillip Nanton was along with the Barracudas, and features a special artwork produced by fellow Vincentian Caroline Boops Sardine. In an interview with SVG-TV News, Dr. Nanton said he was pleased to showcase his work with his people.
I came up with the name St. Christopher and the Barracuda. So it's not actually really St. Vincent. I think that's at all. I mean, what I've done is, as far as I'm concerned, I see it as something, a sort of homage to the Eastern Caribbean overall, rather than specifically any one island. You know, I've been performing these pieces in different festivals around the region, different islands, as far north as Jamaica, down to Trinidad and Guyana, and quite honestly, you know, it's a regional thing. I see it as, rather than any one specific island. But of course, you know, I draw a lot more, perhaps, you know, from my St. Vincent background, and also some from Barbados as well, where I've been living. Because, you know, things happen and you think, oh, this is a gift, and you take it and work with it.
At yesterday's launch, Dr. Nanton gave the audience a taste of the book.
I invented a country, first of all. The country is called St. Christopher and the Barracudas. And the idea behind the collection is that St. Christopher and the Barracudas, the retired chief of police, has been asked to collect contributions from people of all different walks of life to help publicize the island for tourist purposes. Taxi, mister? Island tour, back to the ship. Taxi, mister? Give you a good rate. Every island is different. Every island is the same. See all you want to see. Hear more than you want to hear. One side is tourist brochure, next side is sea salt and rocks too. I know just what you mean. I used to pretend to be sleeping and let Jim get on with it, but nowadays, I just stop. You abstinence. I abstinence a long time. He's going to demand his rights. I tell him that is now in the hands of the Lord and he has to take comfort in that.
Meanwhile, Aaron Voices has received the praise from head of the University of the West Indies Open Campus, Deborah Dalrymple, and other persons present, including Minister of Tourism, Sports and Culture, Cecil Mackey.
Are you familiar with Dr. Nanton's work? No, I'm just going to be introduced now, and I'm really thrilled. We were at school together all those many years ago, so I'm just listening to the little sound bites he gave us. Sounds so interesting. I'm looking forward to owning a copy.
As a developing nation, it is very important that we continue to encourage our people to whether capture the moment in terms of history of the country, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, or to develop their own.
I wish to end by congratulating Dr. Phillip Nanton and Caroline Sardine on their collaboration on Island Voices and look forward to enjoying more of their work in the future. Caroline.
Caroline Sardine was also commended for her contribution to the realization of the book.
I like to see it making me extremely rich to be able to retire, but I really doubt it because it costs a lot of money to produce a book like this, because when you're working with art, you have to produce it at a good quality, and so the pages, each page is more expensive to produce than an ordinary book. But I quite like the idea of collaborating with artists, and so working with Caroline was also very, very, very important, and her work has made a big contribution to the book. I have to say that.
The High Court criminal session began sitting here this morning with the newly appointed Justice Rajiv Prasad presiding. According to a list published by the High Court office, there are some 79 cases listed to be heard. They include murder, attempted murder, robbery, rape, wounding with intent, possession of firearm, and burglary, among others. The prosecution is being led by Director of Public Prosecution Colin Williams, assisted by Assistant DPP Colin John, along with other Crown counsels. Meanwhile, 25-year-old Devon St. John from Otley Hall has been arrested and charged for unlawful and malicious wounding. He's accused of arming himself with a gun and discharging same to the body of his stepfather, 52-year-old Casbot Jordan, shooting him in the upper left thigh on April 13 of this year. St. John was on Monday, May 19, 2014, escorted before Senior Magistrate Rishon Brown Matthias and pleaded not guilty to the charge. The police prosecution, however, objected to his bail, stating that investigations are continuing with an effort to retrieving the gun. He also stated that too many gun-related offences are happening in the country at the moment, and the citizens have to be protected. St. John was remanded into custody until May 27, 2014, when the matter is expected to be heard.
See your eyes, yeah. When them up like you just don't care. When them up to the sky, let them fly.
22-year-old Vanika Hope, Miss Super 6 in the 2014 Miss SVG pageant, was born on March 14, 1992. She's a resident of the town of Chateaubalais, where she lives with her mom and younger sister. Today in Carnival Beat, we get to know a little bit more of this young lady. Jamisha Wright has the details in this report.
Apart from being crowned Miss SVG 2014, Miss Super 6 and contestant number 6 Vanika Hope aspires to become a psychologist in the not-too-distant future. Recently, SVG-TV News visited Hope, who was busy making farine as she takes a little break from her routine training for the Miss SVG pageant on May 31st.
I love farine. I love it. Come,
I know it's made from the cassava root. And
how you enjoy it? I like it most.
I love it with the avocado. When you make it up like the dumpling, oh my God, that's wicked. I love it.
I know we can have it with tea as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also you can put this in your juice if you choose to, or you can eat it dry with the sugar.
Yes. Yes. All right. Vanika, are we allowing Minty to see you a little less formal? Because every time we see you, you're always well dressed, always well makeup, and you know, always put together. But now we're seeing you the real Vanika, as most persons would want to see. Tell us, what are some of your hobbies?
I enjoy reading, feeding my fishes, and just relaxing.
Alright, okay.
I enjoy cleaning my house. I make sure I clean it spick and span every weekend. I do the washing and everything else. Yeah.
Okay. So
I don't really do the cooking because I'm too busy to do the cooking, but I can cook, you know. I love to cook. I'm macaroni. Big chicken salad and like those sumptuous meals that you have on Sunday. I love that because I love to eat.
You're full of energy. Come on,
today is our lucky day.
Oldest child, what sense of responsibility you feel? What sense of obligation you think you have to your younger sibling?
Strive for the best, make sure that I'm well educated, have a high standard and set a good role for her to follow positive values.
Important, Vanika. And my final question would be, obviously I must ask you something about this SVG.
Oh yes.
Where are we in terms of preparation? Are you ready for that big night? Tell us.
Yes, I'm ready for the night. The only thing that I'm not fully well prepared about is on the introductory dance, but I have my speech already prepared. I'm just preparing for that because after our instructor and the teachers outline for the dance, I think I have everything locked.
You have for me?
This is for you.
This is so sweet. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Join us tomorrow evening during Carnival Beat for our one-on-one with contestant number 3, Shakel Bob, Miss Agricultural Input Warehouse. Jamisha Wright reporting for Carnival Beat.
See your eyes, yeah. Whip them up like you just know.